Okay, so let's look at the various types of relations. In our previous lesson, we talked about what relations are. In these videos, we are going to look at the various types of relation. But the same way in our previous lesson, we looked at our real life situations. We talked about how we relate with our family members in the church, in the school. So, for this concept, the types of relations, we can equally relate these types to our various life situations. Okay, all right. Now let's take this example. Let's say in your class, your teacher always comes to class to teach you. When the teacher comes to class, he delivers, he facilitates to you. He stands in front of the board and he teaches you. All right. As he teaches, you the students listen. Okay. Whatever he gives you, he sometimes asks you to copy some notes. Good. Now, in the course of doing that, you realize that there has been some connections. That means he's delivering, he's teaching while you, the student, are also learning. So he gives you. Now, looking at the number, okay, looking at your number, you are even more than the teacher. The teacher is just what? One person. Okay, good. So looking at that, you can see that there's a relation there. So we can relate that to a type of relation. Okay, but before that, let's also look at this example as well. Let's say you and your friend, your colleague in a class. You go, you meet your colleague, you talk, you share what common goals. Okay, you discuss some questions given to you by your teacher. All right, when it is break time, you work together. If you need help, you offer those kinds of help to each other. All right, now you realize that you get to a point where you need something or you don't understand whatever the teacher had taught you. Your friend may what teach you. He will explain certain things to you. He will ask you to do certain things. And when the friend of yours also needs something in return, you also give to the person. So you realize that it is give and take. Okay. In that case, there's a relation there. So let me use that. Okay, let's begin with that. So you and your friend, you see that you are one person, he's also one person. And if there is a relation between the two of you, then it is also a type of relation. In that case, since you are one person and he's also one person and you are giving to each other direct, then what do you think will be a name for such a type of relation? Yes, so here we are talking about one person affair. One to one what person affair, one to one person affair. In that case, we can say that that relation is what one to one relation. So it is one of the types that is the common of all the types. All right, so we can say one to one relation. Yes, relation. One to one relation. Cool. So you see the example I used. Now let's go back to the previous example I used before this one. I was talking about you, the students, and the teacher. So the teacher alone is one person, and you looking at your number, you are many. All right, you are many, and the teacher is only one. So this one, it is one person to what? Many students. All right, in this case, we can say that this type can also be called what? One to many. One to many, because it's only one teacher who is delivering a lesson to what? The students. All right, good. So this type is also what? We can also call this type one to many relation. Great. Now, the same example and the teacher and the student. Now let's reciprocate it. Let's say this time the teacher is also quiet, but the students are rather what, giving feedback to the teacher. Okay, so this one, it is not from the teacher to the students, but it is from what, the students to the teacher. Maybe the teacher gives an assignment students have to answer, or a teacher asks questions. He needs a response from teachers. So once the student also decides to give the response back to the teacher, then it means that many students, okay, because at the end of the day, not only one person is going to talk, few students who are more than the teacher are going to what, talk. So many of the students are what, giving it back to one person. Then we can also say that there is a type here we can be referred to as what, many to one, because more students are also giving feedback to what, only one teacher. Okay, so we can also give that type a name as what, many to one relation. Great, that's good. Can you think of another scenario? Can you talk about another scenario? I've given you 3 scenarios. Now I want you to think deeply. Let me give you about just a minute to think deeply about another scenario. Okay, all right, so your time is running. All right, think. All right, and that will be the 4th part. Okay, that will be the 4th. Good, so your time has ended. Now what did you think of? Okay, right, I know by now some of you are thinking, okay, what if it is let's go back to let's use our school. What if it is about one class to another class, or maybe one group to another? You know that in our various classrooms, sometimes our teachers would put us in groups. Maybe we can have a group containing 5 people, another group containing 5 people. Okay, so a teacher may assign each group what, a task, and after the task, the group will come to the board, or the group will what, present their solution to the whole class. Now those number of people, they are not one, okay, they are more than one, and they are giving what, feedback to the entire class. So you see that there are many in a group, and are also giving what, information to many students in the same class. In that case, we will also say that this is what, many people or many students giving information to collect what, students who are also many. In that case, this becomes what, many to many. All right, so this is also another type. So we say many to many relation. Great. So these are the main types of what, relation. Okay, we have one-to-one relation, one-to-many relation, many to one relation, and what, many to many relation. I hope the scenarios that we use, you got it easily. All right, good. So when we say one-to-one relation, what at all is one-to-one? What at all is one-to-one relation? Good. So think about it and tell me, what at all is one-to-one relation? Okay, one-to-one relation. Good. Now, when we say one-to-one relation, we are saying that this is a type of relation in which we have only one element or an element from the codomain which assigns or corresponds to only one element in the codomain. Or let me reframe it again. This is what? A type of relation in which an element in the domain, yes, an element in the domain corresponds or associates itself or is associated with what? An element in the codomain. So this one is one-to-one affair, one affair. Okay, so you get only one element matching on to what? Good. So looking at this example, you see that we have x values which are 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the y values which are -1, 0, 1, and 2. Good. So you see that each element, only one element from the domain matches to only one element in the codomain. Okay, so each of the image, okay, each of the image maps onto or connects with only one element in the domain. Okay, that is what we call one-to-one relation. Now, we in our previous lesson we looked at the rule. So look at this one. Can you tell me the rule? I know you can tell me the rule. If that is the case, what is the rule? You realize that 1 from what x corresponds to -1, 2 from 1 corresponds to 0. So this one, you realize that when I subtract, or yes, when I find the difference of 1 and 2, when I subtract 2 from 1, I'll get -1. If I subtract 2 from 2, I'll get 0. If I subtract 2 from 3, I'll get 1. If I subtract 2 from 4, I'll get 2. In this case, we can say that, for instance, when you have 1 minus 2, you are getting what? -1. And then if you have 2 minus 2, you are getting 0. You have 3 minus 2, you are getting what? 1. And then 4 minus 2 gives 2. In that case, they say that anytime, and all we know is that x what? So x minus 2 gives me the y. Okay, in this case, what rule can you say, or can you write for this? We can say this is what? 2 less than 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 what? 2 less than x gives us the y. Okay, that is the rule here. Have you gotten that? Good. So this is the type of relation. Now let's look at what then is also one-to-many. We have already described them in real life situations, but we are only elaborating on them. Okay, great. So let's look at the 2, that is one-to-many. Okay, good. So you see that one-to-many also says it is a relation in which an element in the domain corresponds to more than one element in the codomain. Good. So looking at this diagram, you realize that we have A, B, C as element of X, and then M and PQ as the element of Y. You can see that we have this A here. A is corresponding to M. At the same time, the same A is also corresponding to what? Q. It means only one element in domain is corresponding to more than one. Okay, we have B as well. B also corresponds to M. At the same time, corresponds to what? N. C also corresponds to P. At the same time, corresponds to what? N. So this suggests that this is one-to-many. One-to-many. All right, so that is about one-to-many. Now let's look at many-to-one. Let's look at many-to-one. Okay, so let's look at many-to-one relation. In this relation, we are saying that more than one element in the domain correspond to only one element in the codomain. Yes, that is where we have so many elements in the domain corresponding to only one. So looking at the diagram, you realize that we have 1 corresponding to 15, 3 also corresponding to 15. So 1 and 2 1 and 3 corresponding to the same 15. We also have 2 corresponds to 8. At the same time, this 4 also corresponds to the same 8. That makes it what? Many to one relation. So that is one of the type. Now let's look at the last type of relation, which is many to many. Okay, so let's look at the last type of relation, that is many to many relation. In this type, we are saying that is when more than one element in the domain are assigned to more than one element in the codomain. So if you look at the diagram, you realize that we have A from the domain assigned to what? M, at the same time assigned to P. The same M we have B, which is also assigned to M, and the same P that A assigned to B is also assigned to. C is assigned to N, and the same time assigned to Q. The same N and Q, D is also assigned to each of them, and that makes it what? Many to many relation. So that is the types of what? Relation. This brings us to the end of types of relation code. So in our next videos, we are going to look at what we call mapping. That's our next concept. We are looking at relations, mapping, and functions. We are done with relation, so we shall proceed to mapping in our next video. So watch out for our next video. All right. Okay, so see you next time. Thank you.